Lighting a studio is hard. Daylight is pretty much irreplaceable, unfortunately, but it's not always available. So sometimes I've got to make do with artificial light. Halogens are maybe the next best thing. They do a full spectrum of light, very close to daylight, but they use a ton of electricity. Like, if I was to try and light this space with halogens, it would be like leaving my oven on at a low temperature all day. And the heat's up there, I can't use it, I'm not gonna do that. And incandescents are basically worse than halogens in every way. Not as good a spectrum, not as efficient. If you're gonna go incandescent, just go halogen. So that leaves the energy efficient options, which is like fluorescents, compact fluorescents, and LEDs. Now, if you're using compact fluorescent lights to light a studio, I am so sorry. Don't do that. The only thing that compact fluorescent lights are good for is lighting like a murder scene or a horror movie. You do not want those in your studio. Maybe just draw in the dark. That leaves LEDs. But LEDs is a huge category. I've tried a bunch of them and very different results. So because of that, I want to show you some of the LEDs that I've tried and what I'm gonna settle on as my new studio lighting system. I've had the same track light system for 6 years now. They were basically the cheapest LEDs I could find. So I was on a budget. I have a bit more money now. Cool. Can I do any better? Let's take a look. These are the ones that I started with. Standard. They worked. I got a lot of lumens for a little bit of money. I've also tried bigger brand name bulbs. Big bulb. And, you know, more of the same smaller ones. I've tried different kelvins. I've tried different temperatures, different kelvins. And then I got some newer ones, fancy LEDs from a company called YujiLED. So we'll see how all of these compare in my track lights. Okay, so I'm mostly lit by the skylight. I have blues in the arts, I have reds in my cheeks and on my shirt, and we've got, do we have white? Yeah, we got white in the paper as well. You can see a little bit of the color temperature that way. But this should give a pretty good idea of whether or not lighting is good or the lighting makes me look like a corpse. Let's try artificial lighting. Not as good. These are my cheap and cheerful standard bulbs, and I'm betting the color quality is not the first thing that you noticed. I'm shooting at a high frame rate, so that lets you see. I hate that. It gives me a headache. And another kind of suck thing about artificial light is these many different shadows. They're ugly, they're unnatural, they're unavoidable. Pretty much any artificial light is going to cause that. It's not a function of bulbs, it's a function of the fact that there's a whole bunch of them instead of one bright, beautiful, even sky. So I'm not going to focus on that in the comparison. Instead, we'll look at color and flicker. And for color, we've got my shirt, which is great, and this color sheet. I'm going to take a photo of this with my DSLR and we'll compare the standard bulbs, the daylight, the Philips LEDs, and the YujiLEDs and see how they look. These are the Philips bulbs, and I've got a bit of a smorgasbord of different color bulbs, like different temperature, 3000, 5000 kelvins. I don't really care about the temperature. I think that's more a matter of taste. I'm interested in quality. How well does it render colors? And does it flicker? And at a high frame rate, you can see they still Let's see how the YujiLED bulbs do. Okay, so these are the Yuji bulbs. Slow motion.
This is great.
I can already feel a difference in my eyes. It's just more comfortable looking around when I don't get that jitter at the edge of my vision, or if I move my hands too fast, getting that ghastly strobing effect. So kind of regardless how the color test turns out, I'm gonna stick with these. But let's compare the shirt colors side to side. Standard lost this race. Philips is a little better, but I'm still pretty washed out, and I think Yuji did a better job with the reds. But it's hard to see, and I'm shooting on an iPhone in slow-mo mode, so colors aren't perfectly represented anyway. I mean, that's one of the troubles with lighting, is that what you see on camera is so different than what you see with your eye. Let's take a look at those photographed color sheets and see if that shows us anything more. Yeah, it's not so easy to see with these either. Let's compare just one column. It gives us a better idea. Okay, when I see these side to side, I do notice a difference. It's subtle, but most striking, I'd say, in the reds. It is more pronounced in real life. Something else worth noting just briefly is the color temperature. The daylight I'm using is early morning daylight, so this should be pretty comparable to the kind of 3,000, 5,000 kelvins I've got with light bulbs. With the Philips and the YujiLEDs, I have about the same amount of brightness. Daylight's going to be a lot brighter. So in the future, something I might consider doing is contacting YujiLED, see if they'll send me some bulbs to do a test where I get the lumens to the level that daylight is at, and see if that affects the color test, because both cameras and eyes really struggle to pick up color in low light. The brighter things are, the more colorful they are. That's why sunny days look so happy. And wouldn't it be amazing to have that in a studio? Even getting closer to that is worth shooting for. So I hope that multi-bulb comparison was helpful for you in some way in figuring out your own studio lighting challenges. If you have any questions about the bulbs I used or my track light system, feel free to shoot me a question in the comments below. I will do my best to get back to you. And if you have any success in figuring out this lighting issue, especially those of you in the northern hemisphere where it is mostly dark most of the time, most of the year, I would love to hear from you. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.